Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you guys are new here. Let's have some coffee and get this video started today. You guys, today's video is completely different than any videos that I normally do. I know I share stockpile hauls or prepper type hauls, things like that. I'm not one of the huge preppers that sustains their haul, that sustains their big stockpile and have a whole basement full of stuff. I don't have that. But I do try to prep or stockpile things that I know that we need that are essentials that we can use for later. Things that you can get on rock bottom prices that way you can store them for later, because honestly, if you can get it really, really low on a really awesome price, why not buy more for later? If you can freeze it, if you can can it, if you can, whatever you guys do. If you guys are into the dehydrating of the foods, that's awesome. I do have some friends that do that, and I think it's phenomenal. They have, chickens. They have all of that, and I think it's really, really phenomenal. I'm still trying to push Ryan to get those chickens, but he won't do it. So we have so much on our plate as it is. But you guys, I am not an expert by any means, so please don't come at me if you were an extreme prepper, stockpile person. I am not. I'm just a mom of 4, and I know I've been in situations before, like when the kids were really sick in the hospital for weeks, and we had nothing on hand at that point. This was right before COVID started. Nothing on hand. We had my mother-in-law watching our house, and we literally had nothing. So talk about emergency, because my other son was still here, and there was, what can you do? This was when grocery delivery was like brand new. So, there are situations that come up in life and you have no control over. And I'm not even talking about in the world. I'm not talking about the world's issues. I'm talking about you in general have things that come up, emergencies that come up, family stuff that comes up, sickness, things like that. And you might not be able to get to the store. Or if your whole family is sick, they're not gonna be able to get to the store. Maybe you don't feel like eating, but generally somebody wants to eat in our house. So we have had so many issues over the last few years where we've had that, and thank God I started stocking up. Initially, I think Ryan thought I was nuts when I was doing this during COVID, but I started stocking up, having things on hand, and that way it may have not looked like something to the kids. They may have been like, what are we going to make with beans? What are we going to make with this? You can make a lot with a little. So that's what I'm sharing with you guys. Just my tips, the things that I always want to make sure that I have on hand, the things that I always stock up on, that I always keep on hand, because these are sustainable items, and these are things that have multiple purposes. It's not just, I'm not big on the processed foods and hoarding all that kind of stuff. If you guys are, if you guys like that, that is fine. Everybody has their own preferences, own likes, all that. But I'm sharing with you guys what I buy. So one of the top things that I always have, and yes, I know you can do this many different ways. You can cook chicken, fresh chicken, cook in your crock pot, cook it on your stove, do that sort of thing, and you can save the liquid, like where it has the water and the chicken, the juices. You can save that and can that and preserve that, and lots of people do that. I personally have never done that, not yet. The same day when I was cooking, I have done that and used it in other recipes, but I've never preserved it. I know you can do that. So chicken broth is huge, or beef broth. But what I do is, if it's on sale, like I go to Aldi's, I buy chicken broth. I love the chicken broth. I love the big things. I use chicken broth in so many things. I use it in rice with my Instant Pot. I use it in, obviously, soups. I use it in cooking so many recipes. Like, I don't even have the list of everything that I use chicken broth in. But it adds so much flavor. And you don't have to buy these. You can buy the cans. But, their shelf life, I don't even know what their shelf life is. Half the time I go through it so much that I buy tons of this. The cheapest place that I can find it right now is at Aldi. I do scout the prices. I used to buy it at Sam's Club, and they have it there, but honestly it's cheaper, unless things have changed, it's cheapest at our location to buy it at Aldi. So always go with your cheapest. You don't have to go with Aldi. If Aldi isn't your cheapest place, go with your cheapest place. Or, like I get beef broth, chicken broth, vegetable broth. You can do bone broth. I know a lot of keto people use bone broth and stuff. It's just more expensive, so I don't use the bone broths. But you can also use This is what I grew up on. Is it bouillon? Bouillon? Bouillon cubes. And I don't know where these were all my life. I remember having these like in our refrigerator at all times growing up, chicken and beef. My mom always had these to cook with, and my grandmother. So it's crazy that it took me so long to realize how many this makes. So 1 cube makes 8 ounces. And it stretches out. So 1 cup of bouillon equals 1 cup of beef broth. So there's a whole lot in these. This makes a whole lot for very little. And you can store this for a very, very long time. So beef broth, chicken broth, however you want to do that, that is something that you should always have on hand. Because you can use it in so many recipes and for so many different things. So whether you buy the liquid in a container, whether you buy it in a can, whether you buy the bouillon cube, or whether you want to can it, I highly recommend having that. Another thing, number 2, and I don't know, this isn't in any particular order, this is just what we always have. We don't always have lentils. Now, I'm trying to hide these in things because Ryan is not a huge lentil person, but lentils, these bagged beans, like Great Northern beans, because we grew up on soup beans. Grew up on cornbread, or we actually put bread in we put it in the crock pot, or my grandma would cook it on the stove growing up when she was alive. Black beans. This stuff is very inexpensive when you weigh it out per ounce. I got all these at Aldi. You can also put these in a can, and I think it extends the shelf life also even longer than what this is. But beans are such an awesome thing. So whether you buy beans in a bag or you want to stock up, you can use kidney beans, chili beans, you can use chickpeas, garbanzo beans, which, you know, the options with this are limitless. Like, for example, chickpeas, I haven't done it yet. My friend Tori does this all the time. You can make hummus with this. So hummus is awesome. We buy hummus. I can make it myself. I don't know why I don't. But I think it's because I can't ever find tahini around here. But these are great sources of protein. These are fillers. These are things, not just, I'm not saying just make a big batch of chili, because we do make tons of chili in our house. But these are fillers. If you don't have access to like all the meats and things, you can use the beans. You can use beans to bulk up meals. You can use beans to add in your protein source, your fiber, you know, all of that. Beans are such an awesome, awesome thing to have. I can't say it enough. There are many times like when I've been like, oh my gosh, I only have this much meat. I will throw beans into it and add it. It only adds flavor, it bulks it up, and it's healthy, and it's inexpensive. So if there was one thing I was going to tell you to go and buy, it would be beans. And my kids sometimes are like, I don't want beans. But honestly, if you mix it into all kinds of stuff, they don't even know it's in there. So beans are a huge thing. I would always say to buy beans. I always say to buy broth. Another thing that is huge, and you don't have to do it this way. If you have a fresh vegetable garden, you can can the tomatoes, you can puree them, you can do whatever your heart's desire with those tomatoes. But I like to buy cans of diced tomatoes, or you can buy the pureed ones, whatever the cheapest route is, because you can just blend these up. And we didn't have any fresh ones this year. I do have some in the freezer from last summer. Tomato sauce, diced tomatoes, tomato paste, anything with that. And I don't buy a lot of this. You can make your own fresh pizza sauce with this, combining this with some seasonings. You can make spaghetti sauce with this. You can make salsa with this. I mean, there are so many things you can make. You know, it goes into pasta dishes. It goes into like mini pizzas. You don't have to buy jars of spaghetti sauce or marinara or the fancy pizza sauce. You can do that yourself. And I'll gladly share a recipe with you that is super simple, that literally will make a ton with just this and seasonings. So that is another thing that I always recommend you buy. If you're going to buy something to stock up in the canned aisle, maybe you can find it in the frozen aisle. I don't really pay that much attention. Or you can use, like I said, fresh ones. If you've got some tomatoes that are going bad that you have on hand, puree them, blend those things. You can freeze those, use those another time. But these add so much to your pantry, and you can do so many things. And if you can't find a recipe yourself, Google it. There is always something there you can find for that. So rolling right into that, another thing that we always keep on hand, and whether you want to buy the Banza pasta, which is like chickpea, based off of your diet, you know, whether you're gluten-free, whether you're into high protein, low carbs, you know, whatever it is that you're into, or whether you just buy the good old cheap stuff. I suck up on the good old cheap stuff. I do like to buy the stuff that my family is not a fan of. So I do like to buy things like this. These are a little more expensive, but this is like soybean. If I can slide that in there, it's got like 24 grams of protein. I will do that. Buy what you like, what your diet is, what your budget is. Buy off of that. Don't buy something. Don't buy like 10 boxes of this if your family has a strict budget, because that's silly. Buy what you can. So, but buy pasta, because pasta is another filler. You can make so many things with pasta. You can, and I add beans to pasta. You can add your tomato sauce to pasta. You can add the noodles. You can make your own homemade Alfredo sauce at home with very minimal ingredients. You don't need the jars. You don't need anything fancy. It's not expensive. It's just stuff you would probably already have in your pantry, I mean in your fridge anyway. You know, whether it's the milk or the half and half, or whipping cream and butter and some garlic or Parmesan, easy. You can make that on the stove. So this is something I always keep, because you can add veggies to it, you can add oil to it, you can add, the possibilities are endless. And this is a, this is something that will fill you up. So I'm not saying you eat pasta every day of your life, which I would love that. But this is something that's very inexpensive, and especially if you can get it when it's on a really good sale, I always recommend stocking up on pasta. I think the days are gone when you can go to Kroger and get those 50-cent specials they used to do back to school time, when you could get it for practically nothing. And I would literally buy 20 boxes of pasta. But it was worth it, because we were eventually going to eat it all. And you can can this also. These things, you can put them in jars and it sustains the life better than it does in the box. I just haven't gotten to that point yet. Another thing that I absolutely always keep on hand, I always buy extra of, I absolutely love Oats, oatmeal. It is so special in our house, because this is one of those things that you can use in so many different items. So you can make your own oat flour. I mean, oat flour is outrageous to buy in the store. You don't have to buy it in the store. You can blend it up and use this. If you didn't have access to flour for some reason, or you have a special diet and you can't have like regular flour, you can make oat flour. It's so easy to do, and there's recipes everywhere, and you blend it up and you can store it. Once again, you can store it in a can. But this is something, we make overnight oats because Ryan loves those. Oatmeal is healthy, it's bulky, it's filling. We use it in meatloaf. We use it in, obviously for oatmeal in the mornings. We use oatmeal all the time, and you can bake it in things. I mean, there are so many recipes with oatmeal that use minimal ingredients, but this is healthy. The shelf life, I don't even know the shelf life. I just know we keep it forever. You can buy the big canisters at Sam's Club. Usually they're grouped together. I usually just buy whatever the cheapest is. I like old-fashioned oats the best. I make protein balls. Like, I live off of protein balls, and it's with peanut butter and this and, you know, a few other ingredients I've shared. But oats are so such a essential item in our house. So I always say to buy these, because you can do so many things with these. I can't even think of them all off the top of my head, but I highly recommend you buying oats, and they're so cheap. It's like $1.84, I think, for a big canister of them at Aldi. So that is one of those things. Oh, there was the other noodles I was going to show you, the brown rice noodles. See, got them on clearance. Don't know what I'm doing with them, but got them on clearance, so I will probably store those into a container to use until I get to those. But I'm getting sidetracked. Oatmeal, that is one thing. You can buy cereals, you can stock up on all that kind of stuff. You can even get cream of wheat we grew up on, but I highly recommend you getting oats as one of your staple pantry items that you keep on hand. Okay, you guys, more carbs coming at you. So this is not for the keto people, a lot of these things that I'm using, but rice. And this is only a portion of the rice. I bought rice, 6 months ago, and we are still living off rice. It's probably been longer than that. I bought a massive bag. I think it cost me $14 or $15, maybe more. It was jasmine rice. I like jasmine rice. I'm not a white rice person. I love jasmine rice or basmati. I went for the cheaper route. Jasmine was cheapest. And we literally got a bag. I don't have the bag because I can't stand having too many bags. I had to put these in containers. The bag was this big. It will last so long. Rice is one of those things you can store, and it has such a long shelf life. Put them in jars, which, I mean, that's not going to do anything for you for this. We use it in so many meals to bulk things up. Because Ryan is not a huge rice person. Like, he's like, oh my gosh. But if it's mixed into something, he'll eat it. So rice is big because you can buy it at Sam's Club in the huge economy packs. That's where I recommend you buying if you have a Sam's Club. Maybe if you have a Costco, somewhere like that where you can buy it in huge bulk. And I'll eventually take you guys along with me when I go to Sam's and show you my top bulk items there that I would buy, because a lot of stuff I will pass by at those stores. But rice is one of those things. You can put it into meals. You can put it in with chicken. You can layer it with things. You can, you know, you can eat it with just some, like, we like it with just a little, like, the fake spray butter or real butter, however you want to do it, with some garlic powder. We like to serve a ton of our meals with rice, and it just adds so much bulk to it because it fills you up really fast with rice. Or you can even buy, if you want to be fancy, I'm not saying that for your prepping, but if you want to be fancy, you can buy the Yum Yum sauce, and they usually sell it in a big tub at Sam's Club. But we love that, like that they have the Chinese restaurants, Japanese restaurant. So rice is a huge staple in our house. I mean, the oats, the rice, the pastas, things like that, because they're so versatile for meals and for so many other uses besides that. Okay, you guys knew we were headed in more carbs, but it's an essential carb. This is flour. This is, I mean, and it doesn't have to be the unbleached flour. This is the stuff I got on sale the other day, you guys know, for like $3. I went back looking for more and couldn't find it, but I got it on sale. So whether it's that flour, I keep bread flour on hand for my bread maker that I need to get out, but I haven't been using. You can use almond flour. You can use wheat flour. I usually keep wheat flour. I usually have like multiple sources of flour in our house for many different things. Ryan's not a big wheat flour person, but I will use it in all kinds of things if I think I can get by with it. They prefer the real flour. Bread flour I use for baking in my bread machine. And actually I'm going to make my own oat flour coming up because I want to make Christine off the Frugal Fit Mom. I'm going to make her oat bread. So that's a goal of mine, to make my own bread. But you know, obviously flour is in so many things, whether you're baking with it, you can make breakfast meals with it. You add it into dinner recipes. You can make, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to go with that. I mean, there are so many things that you can do with flours that, you know, and so many different types of flours. So I always say to stock up on flour at the lowest price. My lowest price to buy the big things of flour is to go to Sam's Club and buy that. If you're just going to buy the real all-purpose flour, or, you know, they have all kinds of other stuff. I'm not sure the cheapest for almond flour because that is so expensive. And you could make your own, but that's also very expensive. So I actually got this from a company online, but we've even got walnut flour. I'm sorry, we have that too. We have walnut flour because Ryan tries to use walnuts for his cholesterol. So anyway, flour is a huge staple item that I always say to stock up on, because if you have that, you can get by with so many things with having that on hand, and it stores well, and you can put it in airtight containers, you can put it in jars, you can put it in whatever, however you store that. But that is something that we always have in our house, and that we always keep on hand, because it is just, you know, think Depression era, that's one of the staple items that they had was flour, because you could do a lot with it with very little. So another thing I'm adding to my list that I've started, that I did keep for a while, I never really used a ton of this because I know you can make your own and that sort of thing, was the sweetened condensed milks, the evaporated milks. But there's so many recipes that I make that use this sort of stuff that I'm going to start stocking up on it when it's at rock bottom prices. I only bought one of these because it was like $1.50 a can, and this was the fat-free kind. But you can use this to make all kinds of things. Like there's a recipe even on here for bread pudding. Back in the day when the Depression was going on, that's what they used to sweeten their coffee. They didn't have creamer, so that's what they used. And then they even used that to make something else with. I can't exactly remember what it was, but it had to do with breakfast. So that is a staple pantry item that I'm adding into our shelf, because that is something that we can really use for many things. There's all kinds of dessert recipes that you can use with that. There is breakfast stuff that you can use with that. There's just, I don't know. I can't even go into all the recipes right now because I don't have the time. But I've been using that a lot more than I ever did before. And that is something I'm going to stock up on. And sweetened condensed milk is something I'm going to stock up on. Okay guys, another item that we always keep on hand, whether it's peas, whether it's green beans, whether it's corn, and whether this is canned items. We have tons that were from our garden last year that we freeze, or whether you can them. I don't have anything. I'm just keep showing you that jar because I don't can stuff. Not yet, but I plan to. So whether you buy them in store when they're on sale at the cheapest places, like I always say, if you can find them on sale, buy. One for now, two for later. So buy what you can afford to stock up on with vegetables, because you can use vegetables in all kinds of recipes. You can use them as all kinds of sides. It's just a health benefit. And it just adds more to your meal if you don't have a lot. But if you garden, you can store those, preserve those. We've got a whole freezer of vegetables now because we can use it for so many things. And if you've been watching my videos, I've been finding clearance of vegetables at Kroger and places, and I'm freezing them. I'm immediately freezing them because I can use them for later, and they're on clearance. I mean, they're $1, so why not freeze them? I've been adding like those bags that would normally be $4, $5, $6 I got for 99 cents. I immediately froze those. I've been putting them in smoothies because it's healthy, good for you, it's cheap. So that is just, you can add that to all kinds of things too. You can buy the spinach and freeze it and use it in meals and add the veggies in there. So those are things. I will share a video coming up, you know, once fall hits, like really hits, and hopefully I can still get all those produce items on sale like I used to. But a lot of the things that I buy, I will buy extra of when they're on sale because they are at rock bottom prices, and I will show you how I freeze all of those, and I have them for months. And what I do with my pumpkins, like the kids will paint the outsides of them a lot of times and decorate them. Sometimes they'll carve them, but that gets really nasty early, so they will paint them. I will reuse those. I will cook those in the oven. I will scoop all that stuff out, and I will use them for many things for months. So if you want to see something like that, I'll share it with you guys. But I save a ton of money in the fall on fresh produce, and I do lots with it for the rest of the year. So that is, this is just a little snippet. I don't want to keep running this forever. There's so many things you can add to your pantry, so many things other people do. This is the main stuff that we have in our pantry that I stock up on, that I keep all year round, that I buy in excess, and I make sure that we always have, because it's something that you can use for so many other things. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you give the video a big thumbs up, and let me know what your essential items are that you stock up on, you keep in your pantry, that you always have to have. Oh, I mean, I forgot one huge thing that I could go without food. I could go without food if we can't have access to food. I'm not trying to be funny, but coffee. I don't have to have fancy coffee, but I have to have coffee. I've always got to have coffee. So whether I get some funny thing, a company reached out to me that, and we live in Kentucky, so sorry, I'll stop talking so much. We live in Kentucky, so it's gonna turn like super winter here before long. We don't have like the in-between months. We have summer, heat summer, and then we have snow. So soon it'll be snow. And this company reached out to me, and they have lots of plants, so we're gonna wait till the spring to do this because I want to have a big garden and things. And I'm working on Ryan for that chicken coop. But they have coffee beans. You can grow your own. I don't know if you have to live somewhere special to do that, but you can grow your own Arabica coffee bean plants. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's like my heart there. But I don't know if anybody's ever done that. I was amazed by it. So enough rambling. I was excited about that, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.